Okay, that is a feisty move to begin with.
Yes, hello.
He's ready to kick it in. You were talking about that. I mean, you kind of covered the news before the news itself, but you're so ahead of the game, by the way. I'm just saying, you're so ahead of the game. Team Singularity coming in with the new player to the bot side, getting the sub from Jeppe, 2-person right now. We still don't know a lot about him, about this person. Let's see how he's going to play on the bot side.
I feel like, though, one of the things that we do know is that he's not coming in with the mindset, oh, I've lost 6 games in a row in NLC.
He hasn't lost one.
As well.
Yeah.
He's coming in with a completely clean slate, probably a different mentality as well. He's really eager to play because this is a major league that he's playing in to the ERLs, right? Against the likes of JDXL, which is the best team that we have. So if he does show pretty good performance right here, if he manages to keep the spirits high for Singularity, I think at this point, you're looking for an upset win. And I think if anything, JDXL are coming in with a lot more pressure in this game. Because if you're 6-0 and you lose to Singularity, mate.
That's a kick in your well, that's
confidence.
Confidence. I was trying to find confidence on this situation. JDXL, if they lose this one, it's going to be really rough for them because not only Bifrost get closer, but they also lost versus a team that didn't get a single W.
Yeah, and I mean, as you can tell, we're on the analyst desk now. We have so much copium, actually. This could be just the fight. We have seen JDXL just kind of winning dominantly every single lane now. The lane phase is kind of a bit buffed in this patch as well. I mean, I don't think maybe we don't expect it, but this is what I said about Michigo as well. Singularity have to believe in themselves before anyone else can believe in them.
So your analysis from the previous game is going to come into this next game as well.
He's like,
oh, he's taking all that copium in. So let's get this copium rolling on with the champion select. It's Team Singularity versus JDXL. First place versus last place. And we got this rolling on. New patch. We know Torak is kind of crazy, so we could get some tech knowledge or dark technology, as I would say, for Torak coming into the championship.
Look, all I'm saying is I don't really care who wins the draft. I just want the Singularity to... When I casted them the last time around, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they showed a Nocturne on the kind of first pick, and this is kind of what you don't want to do. You don't want to show all your cards really early. This is what I want to see Singularity has been improving on, and obviously going to see if they do or not. But on red side, they have so much more flexibility as well. They do have to ban kind of the OP champions as the Seri, but card is getting banned. Is this something I don't know?
Yeah, Galp is getting banned versus Pop. You never want him ever scaling. They figured out that the Udyr was something that could potentially be a problem. Pop played the Udyr and it looked quite strong. It looked pretty good, right? But now my big question is, do you ban the Senna? Venzer has showed Senna a lot, right? Do you ban the Lucian? Venzer with FTG, they played the Lucian Nami down in the bot lane in the last game and they absolutely dominated. We said that the bot lane was a weak spot. Well, last week it was not versus Bifrost, and arguably Bifrost have one of the best bot lanes in the league, so you definitely don't want to be giving things like the Lucian away, which I'm expecting for it to be the last ban on red side.
Yeah, and this is just kind of what you have to do on red side. You kind of I mentioned this a couple of times, you have to pick your poison. Like, there are so many OP champions, so that you can't just ban all of them, right? You only have 3 bans, so they're good so far. Seri, the Wukong, obviously kind of good first pick. We have the Senna still open, the Lucian, as you mentioned.
It's a full focus on Pop, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Talk about that, yeah.
And
was he still open, though?
The 3 type of junglers that you kind of like soft AFK in your jungle, and you sort of allow yourself to scale into the late game and be a nuisance, right? Of course, that is something that XL did in the LEC. They first picked the Yuumi for themselves, potentially can be paired up with Lucian that's still up, Twitch that is still up and might be taken away right here very cleverly from Singularity, but also the likes of Ezreal. And you kind of leave Ezreal along the lane, you roam around with your jungler and you create havoc like that. And Dan is also known to play the more aggressive champions like the Nocturne, the Diego, the Shyvana, even like a Yuumi with the Shyvana, that would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, so much focus onto Pop's champion pool here, right? So he kind of, I would assume that he just has to pick his champion either now or on the 3rd pick, or else they could just pinch his pool even more. What I'm doing interesting is seeing, though, that the Twitch, as you mentioned, is a blind pick. Could look to get punished, though. I mean, you could just pick the Ezreal, kind of handshake the lane and completely, not outscale, but you have the Yuumi. And the Soraka blind coming in, it's not something I've seen.
I really like the Soraka into particularly the Yuumi, because the second she detaches, if you silence her, she cannot attach again. So it's the same thing. Lehend also played the Singed into the Yuumi last split into the LCK. You put down your little sludge thing and you cannot attach again, right? So Lucian Yuumi, really potent lane as well into the Twitch and Soraka. I think their sides must be turned straight onto Soraka, right? Usually when you have a Soraka bot lane, it's kill Soraka first, because if you don't, she can heal permanently target to full HP.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? It's just gonna be kind of a...
He's locked.
The cork. Oh,
He is
okay.
locked. Yes, indeed he is.
I mean, we saw this.
Oh, I'm
in,
getting so many Katarina hovers today. Stop.
I don't remember which LSC team it was. It was for sure not XL, but they also blind pit Corki. It seems like this champion is picking up way more. I wouldn't expect to see it blindable, but I see also a lot of picks into just being the kind of handshake lanes like the Victor and stuff. But wait, what is going on?
Oh, it's
Confusion.
Soraka mid.
Yeah.
Into the Corki?
Okay, I really
They
like
adapted, okay.
Soraka when she's in the mid lane. You have a scaling pick like the Twitch. I really love the pivot here because Soraka, yes, even though she's really good into Yuumi to stop her, if Yuumi does not detach from the Lucian, you can actually kill Soraka 100% to 0 really easily with all the zoomies and the Q and the poke. But now you have a Nautilus in lane, which is extremely dangerous into the Yuumi. Once she gets hooked, you can literally flash bonk, and Yuumi cannot attach, which means that she dies really easily. And the only problem is that usually Twitch suffers a little bit in the laning phase. Having that threat there of the Nautilus catching the Yuumi creates a little bit of a barrier of sort of making sure that it is a balanced bot lane. The Lucian does not just take it all. Now, my question here is, we've gotten the mids down. It could be a top lane Soraka as well. We don't know, it could be complete flex, right? But we got the bot lanes down, we're looking for junglers, and we're looking for potentially top laners. And I'm like, I've seen from Dan a plethora of junglers. We've seen the Nocturne, we've seen the Shyvana, we've seen a plethora of champions from Pop as well, but 3 of his more prominent ones have been banned. 4, if you count Poppy, to be potentially in the jungle as well.
Yeah, I mean, just so much going on, right? We see also Singularity banning out kind of the carry picks on top. This just kind of insinuates to me that they're just going to pick a tank on 4, and they kind of need that front line, someone to like kind of choke up those Corki rockets. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, could be. Oh, they banned it away. Actually, I thought it was going to be Tatui on the Ornn duty, but now obviously still gonna be a lot of tanks open. Obviously, the Ornn being the strongest blind pick top.
Sion there as well.
Yeah, I got Sion there as well. It could look to do that. We're not going to talk about hovers. I'm just going to ignore what's happening right now. That's what I learned last time around. I was casting. But, I would just expect some sort of top blind pick coming in there from Tatui. And
I'd say at this point you probably pick your jungle because you don't want to reveal where your Soraka goes, whether it is mid lane or top lane. You might want to keep it like on the safer side, if you will. I find Xin Zhao a very neutral pick right here because he's creating that mid shield in front of the Twitch to actually play the game. So far you've got so much peeling and healing and shielding coming from the Soraka, the Xin Zhao, and the Nautilus that does this rat make it to the late game. It's gonna be really difficult if XL do not have a go button on the rat to actually catch him, and they're gonna have to keep track of him the entire fight.
Position completed now for JDXL. We get the Gnar, we get the Volibear. What do you guys believe is going to be the last?
I'm disappointed. This is very boring.
It's not Torok. He's on vacation.
Am I wrong?
On vacation.
Nah, you're not wrong. That is correct statement. Obviously, Torok. Wait, what? That's not boring. That's a Yasuo top.
Thank you, Singularity. Holy. Okay, so this is the easiest go button. Literally, Nautilus puts ultimate onto someone. Yasuo can instantly fling to the backside and follow. My only question is, if he flings into the backside, who follows with the Yasuo? Because you have Wish from Soraka, sure, but then I'm seeing the entirety of XL kind of like piling up on that Yasuo, which then frees the Twitch to do a bunch of damage while XL's sights are set onto someone else. So I like what Singularity are bringing. I think they have lost a bunch of lane prio. Soraka doesn't get lane prio. Yasuo doesn't get lane prio. Twitch doesn't get lane prio. And you've got a Xin Zhao, so...
Yeah, if I'm Pop this game, I'm really crying. Yeah, kind of 3 losing lanes in the early game at least. I mean, maybe they can turn around with some sort of Xin cheese gank. But right now, I'm just looking at Dan as well. This guy has so much on his shoulder in this game. He has kind of 3 prio lanes. He has a smorgasbord, as I like to call it, of options to choose from. And looks, if Singularity can get through without getting too behind in lane phase, it's looking good for them, but JDXL obviously kind of famous for getting ahead in the early game.
My question is,
Give it.
Volibear, we saw tower dives from Gilius on the Volibear in the LEC. I wonder if we're going to see a tower dive in this game.
Especially if Yuumi attaches to the bear, it's going to be a dangerous combo. So Pop comes in with a new strategy with a Yasuo on top side as well for Tatui. Let's see if that's enough to take down the unbeatable, the unkillable JDXL. It's on to you guys, initialize, and I'm Meta.
Dangerous combo. I think that applies to us too. Mainly dangerous to your eardrums because we're a bit problematic for you guys to listen to, aren't you? Let's be real. Interesting drafts here.
Yes.
That's a fair statement to start with.
We've kind of become used to Singularity drafting It was what actually I think it was Yeppe who was saying. A little bit of cheese with every draft, with every meal. It never goes wrong. And they've drafted a lot of strange junglers. Now Porp just got 4 banned in that. Yeah, that Poppy ban. It's the Porpy. I've cast that many times in the university scene. I know that Torok on the other side was saying like, yeah, I used to work with this guy in the university scene. Let's make sure we can get down that jungle diff. But it feels like that jungle has become a lot more standard. It's the top lane where I really want to talk about, though.
Absolutely. But speaking of cheese, we're going to have some on the Rift today. It's part of a healthy 5-game day. 5 a day of games. We're on to game 2 of set of those. And this is a big one. Singularity 0-6, JDXL undefeated at 6-0. Literal first versus last competition. And M&M, Singularity's nearest competition, looked good in their last match. Looked very good. They were inches away from taking down Bifrost, and Singularity are looking at them as their kind of nearest competition. As we've been stating, relegations are looming at the end of the split, and Singularity to start picking up wins. Against JDXL, though, that is a tall order.
It's a tough ass. So I very much agree with what the desk said. Porp gonna have a bit of a rough time in this game, playing around 3 arguably losing lanes. I think that mid lane is never going to get pushed from Soraka early on, or at least it's not going to be impactful enough to do anything. Yes, give us that butt wiggle. Oh, yeah, Corgi power.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
But
that's a great butt wiggle.
However,
I love it.
However,
no.
just quickly.
No, we're talking about the Corgi.
What
production? Why are you taking the Corgi away? Thank you. Look at that. Glorious Corgi butt.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about laning phases. This is arguably going to be the most sleeper of them. Yeah.
All right, we can move on now. We've
start leveling up that Q. You can get some lane push, but on the whole, you're not really going to be able to impact the map as something like a Soraka. 2v2, when you have a Nautilus into Yuumi, weird stuff can happen, but given just the huge amount of burst you can get out of a Lucian Brillon, things get a little bit awkward. Now Tatooine starting with the E on Yasuo. So I actually used to be friends with a Yasuo mate. Went by the name of Yasmuo, actually, with a little weird symbol to make it look similar in name. But he talked me through a lot of this matchup when it first came out, because we used to play all the way back in Season 5 together. And this was a matchup where you have so many ways to really annoy Minina. You get on top of them, they can't just hop away, especially if there are minions nearby. And if you block the boomerang with the wind wall, even if it hits you, you throw it backwards, you don't get to catch it and then get your cooldown back. Now you've thrown out basically to no avail in bot lane. So we're going to continue to talk about the Yasuo match on the top side. But if there is a point with Tatooine, can get onto Kryze in a extended kind of fight post level 3, of course, when you have that wind wall. If you manage to block that boomerang and you get to fight just the mini-Gnar, things get really awkward.
He takes a lot of damage down there, and not going to be anything too much more there. I thought maybe there'd be a bit more. And I mean, I love that Yasuo point you're building up is maybe we'll have to come back to that as there is a little bit of attempt in the mid lane, but Dan is around, and the mid jungle for JDXL has been such a power point for this team. When the team's been getting leads early on, it's been through the mid jungle, and Porp gonna try and dive forwards. Should have a way out of here, actually, but maybe
not bad, actually.
zoned out of his Raptor pit potentially, but of course there is, a Soraka in the mid lane, which does mean that the health bars are always a little deceptive, and Dan, when they beat Bifrost, was doing exactly this. The early pressure mid lane to really pressure the enemy team on their red buff, on their Raptors.
We see that again, actually blocks the boomerang. That's what you're aiming to do, but you have to play aggressively. It means that they've pushed up. Dan's on the top side of the map. Tatooine didn't respect it. It's going to be dead.
Good flash, but he's going to get stunned under the tower. It'll be a flash for flash, but the Yasuo is down. It is not a fun matchup, Volibear into Yasuo. You don't have a lot you can block.
And you are very, very happy as down to trade your flash for the Yasuo, because the Yasuo, Gnar, we talked about the matchup kind of being about, this mini Gnar kind of interaction. It's also pretty close. Gnar is actually just a very strong duelist if you let them auto-attack. Not having that flash, that's horrible news for Singularity. We talked about them having arguably losing lanes. Give up a kill like that, you definitely got losing lanes after that point.
Outside in trouble, Venza flashing in, but gets hooked in the tower. He's going to take so many tower shots. Venza falls first blood. Now, Percy trying to get some more. FGG is got a lot of HP, but Zpikee in the camouflage will not fall, and they get away with it. It's a 1-for-1. Oh, sorry, 1-for-1 in terms of kills overall.
Oh, gosh. And again, like we talk about 2v2, oh, yeah, when you got Nautilus into Yuumi, it can get a little bit awkward, but Lucian's got a lot of burst. A lot of burst shown on the table, but it's under the turret. I know that we've talked a lot about tower diving and the meta. Wow, the towers are less strong. Maybe you can dive nowadays. Yeah, maybe not like that. A little bit too far off the beaten track. And One of the big things actually that comes into this is that Venza steps into the Twitch W and has basically a full stack of poison very early on. Well, it doesn't get full stack, but either way, like, it's a lot of extra damage kind of coming in, and they just fail the damage calculation just ever so slightly.
Porp is hatching a ward up there, so Kryze knows exactly what's going on. And Venza and FGG, may I remind you all, are the current kill and assist leaders in the whole damn league right now. And we have seen them be incredibly dominant in lane. But you have to remember a little bit from just last split, where we did see a little bit of them flipping some of those early plays against themselves.
And also,
every now and
I
then.
saw a tweet just before we went live of some of the posts at the pre-game chat. It's completely sanitary in this case, so I know some strange things can happen in them, but this one was JDXL saying, yeah, by the way, our bot lane has like 20 deaths already, so like our AD carry has 20 deaths already in the games that we've played. Go visit him.
No.
And then I believe the response was from Tatooine, I don't even know what our deaths are across this split so far. So a little bit of fun between these two teams, and it does kind of, again, come to a bit of truth as Venza dies that one more time. Still controlling this laning phase, though. Zpikee still not really getting access to farm, and this Lucian Yuumi is going to be a little awkward to deal with for the immediate future of Singularity.
Worth pointing out that Zpikee and Person are both running Ignite, by the way. It's not a single Ignite, it's a double Ignite down here to try and combat that healing potentially down there.
You can only assume that's a mistake, but either way, more burn damage. Maybe that's why they used it on that level 1.
Exactly, so they do have that if they can alternate, but it is worth pointing that out. Dan is around, and Paul is around here as well, so this will now be a 3v3. They're going in, but look who's here, it's Dan! So much healing because a wish from Soraka can allow a bit of a turnaround. Now they need to try and extricate themselves. No one falls, but Paul has to burn the flash, and Piccione has to pop that wish.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a very important one to use. It means that that play doesn't go completely south, but without
that means a solo bolo for the solo bolo king! It's another one to the list. 14th thus far in summer.
And this is a matchup with Singularity drafted for. They said, you know what, Soraka mid, that's going to be fine. Soraka is pretty okay at neutralizing some games. Actually, to my knowledge, the only other time I've cast a Soraka was actually into Kiana. You're pretty okay to, yeah, that was way back in 2020, LGL. That was a long time ago. One of the very first games we cast, actually.
Ninja's Soraka, if I remember. If anybody remembers Ninja, was once of World Elite, and then, of course, of TDK. Went over to the LGL.
Okay, so anyway, there's loads of different cross things about Soraka mid of all champions. Maybe think back to that. But either way, the overall story of this, and promise there is a point, is that you can nullify even quite dangerous lanes. This is a matchup which they picked for. This is a matchup which they hid until that last pick to get that Yasuo into that top side too. But it does, sadly, look like it's not quite been as neutralizing as they would have liked to do. I don't know if it's going to fall out of control from that point, but still, Gold, you'd rather not be going to a Corki who, as much as you heal loads and loads, is going to be very dangerous when it comes to the late game.
Kryze is near Mega, but Porp is around. Does miss the Steel Tempest. Kryze very near to Mega, and I don't know how much they want that particular fight. You can fight him in Mini, but not in Mega as that Yasuo. But it's an interesting one to remember, because I remember when Yasuo was in fact considered a counter, as you were saying into me.
That's what I was saying.
But like, because
Season 5, that was the time when Yasuo was not played at all, besides into Nara on that top side. You could also build Triforce and Frozen Mallet.
That's the one I was reminding, because of course, Impact notoriously beat Huni on the Nara versus Yasuo matchup way back when Immortals were on that crazy undefeated run. Lost in the lower brackets to Cloud9 when they did some of their crazy goals.
Citing the ancient tomes.
I am indeed.
Of course, we were there when they were written, but many people honestly go back and watch those games. There's a real history there. I love going back to some of the historical games of the league and seeing this. But you know, what's more recent history is Porp sitting this bush. The longer he stays there, it miuld become a bit more ancient history because he's been up there for quite a while already.
There's a Herald that's been kind of taken all the while this has been happening, and Tatooine just not able to make this one up. Because, of course, Porp does have strictly a knock-up if he can get that third empowered order type from 3 Talon Strike, but it's just not been available. And Kryze has played this matchup in terms of the distancing very well, has yet to be full foul of even being damaged by both players up there right now.
So, we saw that 1 kill go towards that bot side, but 2 kills onto the solo lanes of Singularity means that JDXL find themselves into an advantage. They have CS score leads across the board, including that jungle. We've seen how much time Porp has spent trying to force some plays wherever they can do. Oh, it's actually a dash cancelled, but
yeah, does have the wind wall, but he's trying to play around it best he can. Cries down into mini Nard, just get knocked up, can take a lot of damage afterwards, but now can Cries play this one out best he can. The Wish comes through and makes this one a lot more challenging, but the minion discrepancies means that Tatsui just doesn't have the damage available. Piccioni keeps his top laner alive, but can't make that 1v1 a winning trade, really, for Tatsui.
And it does feel sad when you sat here as this Soraka thinking, hey, I can impact global plays. We can turn this into a winning situation. What it's actually being used for is to bail out bad aggressive plays which have needed that little extra bit of gas in the tank, and it's just not landed so far. Singularity would have loved for those to come to fruition. It's just not happened. Singularity sat once again an early game disadvantage, and while I appreciate what they've done with the Soraka in terms of, hey, we can go for these plays, the plays just haven't been executed the way they want to.
And the desk's premonitions about Porp's woes in the jungle with the way the lanes were going to be working out was definitely true, but there is a fight in the bot side as Venza has to flash away, heal and exhaust Pop for FGG, and now the Ignite afterwards allows the kill back. Zpikee being called down, trying to turn this one around best he can, but there's just not enough. And Venza and FGG get their vengeance for the early fell tower dive.
I didn't know we had hobbits in the bot lane. What about a second Ignite? They put a second one down on Venza, and it just doesn't matter.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't matter. Meat's back on the menu, and Person and Zpikee both dying, and this time they didn't have a Soraka ult. They didn't have one for this top lane either. The knock-up misses.
Oh, that's problematic. Now Cries can start running this one down. Forces a flash out of the Yasuo. Nightbringer skin he might be wielding, but it is looking increasingly like just general lights out in this game.
Once again, it is aggressive plays on both sides of the map, which just aren't executed the way that Singularity would want to. This time, there is no Soraka ult. They don't have that ability to maybe bail out the worst case scenario of these plays. Now Tatsui without flash, but with an ultimate.
Person might be able to make this one work. Remember, there is a depth charge. There's a knock-up indeed. Lots of damage, but the Megador afterwards puts the Yasuo into the wall. He's so down low, throws the wind wall, trying to play this one out best he can. So much healing. It's here with the package. Delivery is secured.
And, I mean, I get that you have a knock-up, but that's the Meganar. That's the thing we said. You don't want to fight. Didn't have that Ignite from the final play, and the recall gets away.
You should have checked the app messages. You know when the package is being delivered. You get a little app notification for the global sound. Check when FedEx is delivering people. Cries, gets hooked, but there's just not enough HP on Tattoo as he goes through and gets slammed straight to the wall.
Oh gosh, and even with the wind wall making things a little close and a cancelled auto attack, it's not enough for them to turn it around. And the package even stops the follow-up troops from Singularity to making it to that play. JDXL, once again, the beneficiaries of that aggressive play.
Try and get in here. That's a depth charge, but the final chapter will prevent too easy a follow-up as Porp is rooted in place. Dan's on the dragon, and every time a proactive play is tried to be set up from Singularity, it hasn't worked. Porp's been in that top side so many times, yet to really get anything. We've only seen one kill go over the way of Singularity, and that was after a botched 2v2 tower dive.
Oh, here we
now
go.
In mid lane, Stormbringer's there, Zpikee trying to flash away to keep people alive. The wish come through, but the wish is not granted. We'll get a kill now on Avenger. Maybe the turnaround can start coming through. Dan, so very low, but there is a Yuumi on top of him. Means so much heal. The bottom block is doing what it can, but Person gets out. It's a double to Tatui's Yasuo, who needs a 0-9 power spike when you can just get a triple kill in the damn mid lane.
Okay, so now even JDXL are falling prey to this. If you are making the aggressive play, the disengaged play has trumped the aggressive. Singularity pick up a lot of kills onto this lane matchup counter into the Nart, and 3 kills onto a hyperscaling crit carry. Yes, please, I'll take that.
A wish is a dream your top laner makes. Comes away with this. Honestly, I thought after the wish came through, it didn't get enough done. I thought it was doomed. But they get Venza, and then it's a 3v2 with a Yasuo starting to run rampant.
And at this point, at this point in the game, even though Lethal Tempo is a rune which has lost a lot of early game efficacy, you're still stacking it up incredibly quickly to get so many auto attacks through. Multiple knockups from the Yasuo, of course. Your Q gets reduced cooldown when you start stacking that Lethal Tempo rune. Singularity gets stuck in, and for once, they're rewarded for it.
That is a critical moment. Of course, they're still down 5,000 gold, 2 dragons. It's a big difference. What have you got for me?
I haven't been checking items too closely.
Yes.
I'm sure Twitch chat has picked this up.
Yes.
For me. That ain't no Kraken Slayer.
I saw that.
You saw it. Well, you didn't bloody tell me. It's an Ashes Tooth.
Okay.
It's, of course, you got the Halo Blades on the Twitch, and that means what you're looking at is an AP burst switch, you've already got that second AD carry towards the top lane, which can start helping cause the Shinzao put out some physical damage in Twitch's place.
And in fairness, otherwise you would have been very AD heavy, so I think that is an astute switch up on the Twitch, who does have that ability to flex the build path a little bit like Kaiser's of old. What have you got for me?
Well, the thing is though, like, you say that, it's like, oh, you know, all of this, you know, it would have been very physical damage heavy. A lot of champions have actually been making their way from ARAM builds onto Summoner's Rift. We saw the AP Kaiser, Duskblade, Imperial Mandate, CDR, Poke build, Ash, that kind of thing. And I have to say, I did once play against Leandri's Soraka, and it had like a super strong front line. I was like, I wonder if that's the next really awful thing to come out of him. Anyway, not in this game. This
Rise is down to the minion. Oh, my days, just out of range of that
distance very well.
Porp's here. I think they can just go for this. Throws the Crescent Guard for the easy knock-up into the last breath. Yours, not mine, says Tatooine, and secures another kill. Shut down. 4-2-0.
Oh, M&S trying to get some trading back. Takes 2 turret shots, but you're absolutely right. That extra gold onto the Yasuo, very important. Once again, even with that CS going so far in the favor of that Gnar, the Cull popped in.
Oh, Piccione is in so much trouble. Flash, but there's a Stormbringer. Stunned in place, does have the wish, keeps himself a little bit alive, but not for much longer. That little bit runs out. There's a Herald in inventory. Dan's taking some tower shots, though, so needs to be a little bit aware. I'm not sure what Porp can do to stop this, though. So it's looking like a tier 2 going down.
The ult can't stop this Herald charge. That's going to be the tower going down. Of course, inner turrets give a lot of gold over. So much we've been talking about the gold onto the Yasuo, I mean, that's kind of like the hope. That's the silver lining. I guess the reason we're not talking about JDXL and the amount of gold they have is because it's huge. It's an awful lot. Actually, last year, M&S played that Corki versus Singularity and got 5 solo kills in that game. On that Corki, in this game, has an absolutely absurd advantage. Once again, in an individual capacity, huge amounts of gold on the Corki. So while that is the bright spark from Singularity, that Corki is going to be monstrous to deal with.
Full credit there to Christ, by the way. That was a perfectly timed boulder as the Gromp was coming through. I appreciate the very smooth timing on that. Of course, you can work it out with the Toad coming through, but he was very much on Gromp there on spawn. It's Porp trying to challenge for this blue buff. I just don't know how doable it actually is. The Equinox will come through as Porp slowed down by the Bone Meringue. Not too much more, though. And Singularity, they found a few feel-good plays. They've managed to get some feel-good kills onto Yasuo, but it's come at a cost. We're going to see a bit of a fight instead. Never mind talking about big picture when the small picture is a fight in mid lane that we're seeing JDXL win single-handedly. It feels like as M&S comes in with a package and a Bone 2 pick. Money kills in the mid lane. Only Tatooine, the Fed member, who ain't there.
He teleported behind them, but Singularity started the fight without him. You have those 4 kills on the Yasuo. You have a couple of items at least with that, and he's still not there for the fight. Singularity, like I said, it feels like they had some feel-good plays. That was their story of spring, actually, throughout their losing streak. They might have some feel-good plays, but what have they got outside of that? 2-level advantage for Cries, even with that gold. Onto Yasuo means that there's no feel-good moments here for Tatooine in the isolated 1v1, even with that amount of gold funneled into that champion.
A reminder, of course, this is Person's first game on the Rift, the new member towards Singularity, who did help out, turn around that bot lane play, has been involved with 4 out of the 5 kills, has done his very best to make things happen, but unfortunately the map has kind of collapsed in terms of the gold, in terms of the towers, just in terms of the control, really, that even when you are getting these single kills, it came at the cost of a kill and a tier 2. It came at the cost of all the camps out of your red side jungle. Nothing is ever for free, and the cost is sky high. It's part of what's made JDXL so dangerous. It's their ability to just get more out of every play.
Of course, JDXL still remaining defeatless.
Might be a moment, gets the hook, it's onto Mini now, but can they secure the kill? Hopping away, Tatooine trying to get another hit, and that's a decent use of the wind becoming lightning, but will it strike twice? The heal comes through from FGG to keep them alive now. Porp being rooted in the place, does have the Crescent Guard to come and keep people alive, but they're going straight into it. Mega Gnar now coming through, the wish is there though, and Ventus in trouble on the other side, shuts down, but that will be a trade back for the jungler as the Soraka, I apologize, didn't nearly call them the Wish. In goes the Storm, bringing Volley Bear, and Bear trumps them all, carving them apart with the frenzied mauls. Tattoo trying to run away alongside Person, but Person falls. He is deceased, an ex-Person, and only Zpikee and Tattoo are the ones to get out of that one with their health bars blinking, but alive.
Pining for the fountain with Singularity in that fight, and they just, again, couldn't quite find the right angle. This time, at least, Tatsui was there. They start off with the CC combo, involved that last breath, and this time, though, it felt like that gold advantage was too much, and you can shut down Venza. Yes, that Lucian is a lot of damage, but what we talked about, oh, you know, there's this second carry of Tattoo in the top lane for Singularity. Well, yeah, we already talked about the Corki on the other side with that much gold. 5-0 and 4, building towards what looks like a Hydra as that third item. That is so much damage. We saw that come to fruition in that fight.
I just want to point out that is a nearly 12,500 gold lead to JDXL. I won't quite round up yet, but it is getting very close to a very unlucky number for Singularity. It is a, frankly, disgusting
One more good
discrepancy.
fight from M&S, and he could actually double his lane opponent's gold. That is, and I get that this is a Soraka that's likely been dropping farm for the carries. I get that's something that's going to happen. Either way, that amount of gold is, well, I mean, at this point, actually, an exceptionally good fight or two. You might even be doubling the enemy AD carries gold.
You're looking at nearly 2 completed items worth of gold difference there.
Let's see if they can make it in this
goes
fight.
over. Crescent Guard is down, but Dan now going to try and get onto Person, who is being left to the Bears. Never mind Wolves at this point. Make it a dire variety because it's a dire look in this game. JDXL find themselves a kill. They'll back off towards the Baron, and they have got themselves a soul to collect afterwards in 2 minutes.
That's going to overlap perfectly. If they take this Baron, they have a lot of damage. They can take that pop. Has a smite. Doesn't have an easy way into the pit. Checks out that brush, but again, JDXL with complete ascendancy over the map. They don't really have any angle to start this fight off when
4 versus 5. Singularity decides they must attempt to contest, and Zpikee! The rat gets splatted! It's a mousetrap this time around, and it works just as well on Sewer Rats. The AD carry is dead. The big one misses, but Singularity are forced straight away from the Baron pit before they can even begin to think about contesting.
JDXL didn't even have to choose between a Baron turn and
M&S in a 1 versus 4. Still trying to play this one out. M&S has got a Yuumi on top. There's the Wish. Is Tattoo going in for a last breath? But I think it's Singularities this time around. They cannot make it work. They're gasping. They're drowning. And there is just no more air to have. JDXL have well and truly suffocated Singularity out of this game. And that is it. It's lights out and a good night for Singularity.
That'll be the 7-0. That'll be the 0-7 Singularity. We saw M&M do so
Lordy
well
Lord.
just before them, saying they look stronger than a 1-5 team. Singularity, sadly, looking like they have done for most of this split. They've had bright moments, but failed to to string them together, failed to have anything leaning towards those nexuses.
And the game ends with an 18,000 gold lead for JDXL. It will be 22.5 minutes on the clock, and they'll celebrate a little as they get more on the fountain. My God, it's disgusting. Will this be another solo kill? A triple for M&S onto the fountain. They're going to get some more. They're just standing there. It is absolute demolition. A quadra kill to M&S on the fountain with rockets alone.
Well, can't say that they didn't stamp the mark in this game. You can't say that JDXL didn't show up and give themselves a very strong performance. A lot of the time, you can't take much from these games. I think in this one, it was really impressive to see that JDXL had such a level of lethality to put Singularity to the sword and just say, look, we're better players at this point. We are outplaying your lanes, and it doesn't matter what individual strategies you've got. We are more than the match for it.
We asked JDXL coming into this split to show us more consistency, to show what they were showing at the beginning of spring and which we saw fall off. This is exactly the kind of game you want to see from your front runner in summer when they are already in the lead. They put the last place team to the sword, Singularity fall. But that's enough from us for now. We'll throw it over to Asherom and the crew to take it from here.
Thank you, Initialize, and good cast. Fast game, one of the fastest so far of the split, or at least from this patch. And JDXL still undefeated. Singularity not even making a dent on what JD brought in.
I just want to bring up that the JDXL is right now 7-0.
Correct.
They need two more games,
Okay.
and they can go undefeated for an entire first half of the split.
That would be a good story, but until
That
then...
would be a bad story for you, mate, because then you would have to make the apology video.
No, it's at the end of the split.
Playoffs included? Nah.
No playoffs. Just
Regular.
Regular
Regular,
split.
okay.
I mean, Torak was the one making the bets, so I just take it.
Okay, we'll just take it.
I just have to say, I mean, Singularity, obviously coming in with a new member today. Maybe, I mean, I was trying to inject Copium into Singularity, into us on the desk as well. But when you draft kind of 3 losing lanes, and you have Dan on Volibear as well, I mean, they just look completely lost. I mean, they even turned around the kill. Vance and FGG was really feeling frisky in that 2v2 early. They got the turnaround, but even then, it didn't matter. It felt like Singularity couldn't really play through anything this game.
I just feel like Venter and FGG were the rascal kids in this particular game. And Dan was like, whoop, bring these 2 guys back, boys, because we can lose.
And without further ado, for the first time in the interviews, I have the pleasure to not talk with Torak from the JDXL side.
Finally.
It is with the jungler, the man of the hour, Dan. I think it is.
Hello.
There he is!
I have my 2 inters behind me, okay? That's what I have here. Oh yeah. This is what it is.
Is it bot lane?
It is what it is. Pleasure to meet you finally, Dan. Welcome to the show. And this was a game, I mean, to start off, nice haircut. I was forced to do this, by the way. And did you have any pressure playing into Singularity? Because you didn't lose a single game, and you go versus the team that didn't got a single victory. Was there any sort of pressure on that moment?
I don't think so from us, to be honest. Like, I know last split in LEC there was Rogue losing their win streak to Astralis, which is pretty similar. So I had that in my mind, but no, we just said we won't show too much today. We just play the game and just try to end clean. And I think we didn't end clean, but we ended quickly at least.
I just have to ask the hard-hitting question, Dan, the golden one. What's it going to take for JDXL to not go undefeated this split? What's it going to take for the other teams to take you down?
I mean, it's not going to be that hard for them, I think. We've had a few shaky games so far. We've not been as clean as I would like us to be, but I think, honestly, it's up to us if we lose or not. And it's just how we use our time, our practice, and yeah, we'll go undefeated if we play well.
There was a lot of conversation in the previous split when we were looking into Eminez and the way he was playing like the golden god from the mid lane. But this split now, it seems like you want to take that spot for the team of JDXL. You are one of the best junglers so far in the league. You've shown up as well. If JDXL is undefeated, I mean, you have a big paper on that one. What is happening in your mind right now looking into the summer split? Because it seems like Dan clicked the Dan trigger, if you know what I mean.
I mean, I just decided for this split that I want to show a broader pool, I guess. Last split I was on Volibear duty a lot, and maybe this split we're falling back into that. But no, my goal is to get back into LEC, so I just beat what's in front of me and just keep doing my best. I'm happy that, like, last split we gave a lot of flexibility to Eminez on champion pool, and this split I think I'm getting a bit more. Like, I managed to pull out Shyvana with, like, I think we only scrimmed 3 games of it or something. And we have more stuff that we're preparing, so I guess we just wait and see in jungle, and I'm happy that I've got the flexibility to do what I want this split.
Is one of those fangs a flubber boy? A green guy?
It could be. It could be a green boy. Yeah.
It could be a green boy. Okay, that
Could
makes
be
me
Pantheon
happy.
too, you know? We'll see.
Could be what?
Could be Pantheon too.
Oh, man.
It's only my champion that's not viable in the jungle, like I cannot.
My man. I mean, you can play with daggers, but if you have a spear and shield, it's
Get
quite
out,
different
get
then. You
out.
know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for the interview. Finally, I get to talk with someone that is not Torak, man. Thank you so much for that moment, and I'll see you soon. Good luck on the rest of the split, man.
Thanks.
We didn't get a wave.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure. New interview, new background. It's a lot
The
to take in.
background.
I mean, that's...
Background. That was... that was Venser and
That
FG,
was
I
Venser,
assume?
and of course the horse is FTG because of Rylap.
I don't know. It's a tribute.
And of course, it was a very buffy horse, so I'm guessing it's FTG carrying.
It was kind of ironic, considering FTG was on Yumi this game. It's actually so
just
funny.
the opposite of what we usually see. FGG in the more supportive role, no engage, and that leaves more door for Dan to actually step in as the engagement tool of the team. I mean, they seem clean. There's nothing to talk about JDXL.
No, I think he's just happy. I'm just happy for Dan because obviously, as I mentioned, I think I watched him in another split as well. I feel like he was kind of only, not only, but he was most of the time kind of facilitating his other laners. And to see him now as saying as himself that he gets more like kind of saying what he has to kind of has to play in the draft as well. Like picking up the Shyvana, obviously, it's really nice for him. So I mean, it looks like he's having a good time.
Let's approach the other side. Let's approach into Singularity. I know Zpikee is with us for the interview, so we need to talk about a lot in this game. And also, new changes in the team. Zpikee, you're there?
Hello, hello.
Hello, welcome back to the show. Okay, so big news, and we need to address those. You got a new support right now. How are things going with the new support?
I mean, it's going good, right? I mean, I think Pearson is a good addition to the team. He brings a lot of motivation to the lads, right? And doesn't have a huge defeat streak behind him, so it's been good.
Also, how was the approach to this game versus JDXL? Obviously, you didn't have enough time to work with the new support and set up everything. But just as you told us, he brings a lot of new action into the game. How was the preparations versus JDXL?
I mean, I feel like the draft is what it is, right? I mean, we're a bit limited in draft with champion pools and whatnot, but I think the game plan was basically just try to like play around me and Tate a bit for the silence and just chill a mid and try to scale and then maybe take it to the late game because I feel like it's really hard to compete with XL in the early game, right? And set up objectives correctly. So the plan was basically just to take it easy early and then try to overcome the issues later on in the game. Didn't really work, but I mean, it's a shot, right?
Hey, you got the 2v2 down bot lane.
Yes.
It worked in the early game.
You did. I kind of want to ask you a bit about the mental part of the aspect of the game. We talked to Michigan as well, and he was still kind of positive, even though the results maybe have not been what he liked. I feel like it's a similar place for you as well. And as another Swedish fellow AD carry, what do you think that you are doing and the team as well to like kind of keep the mental up in a spot like this?
I mean, I think you need to inhale a lot of copium to play on this role. I mean, it's really hard. Like, I mean, I think me and the lads, like, we're really good friends by this point, right? And we've been through last split together, and like, we've been there before. And like, when the other team start to mental boom, that's when we keep our mental and like take our shot, right? Hopefully, it comes sooner this time around than the last split, right? So we can get more than 2 wins. But I mean, I think nothing can break this mental. I think especially with Pearson coming in, like showing some new motivation to the team, like we're just gonna keep working, right? So
okay, to wrap it up,
we'll be good.
Zpikee, tell me something. We were talking about the Champion Select specifically, and I heard something about at the time, Jeppe, that you guys were going to do your own draft. How is it going right now? How is the team drafting into the games?
I think we have struggled finding our identity, really. Like last split, we played a lot heavier on me and Jeppe, right? We found a lot of solo kills in the bot lane and played around that, but I think we've been struggling a lot with that, especially Jeppe leaving now. We don't really have anything to play for, so I think drafting is really hard since a lot of our champion pools are limited as well. We kind of have to be a bit creative and try to come up with new stuff, but I think at this level, the teams are really good at preparing. I think XL kind of read what we wanted to draft with the kind of had the Udyr in mind and the Lily as well, right? They took that away, so we kind of had to improvise a little bit as well. But I mean, I think going forward, we'll prepare better in draft to give ourselves a better shot at winning, I think.
Okay, a team with a new, fresh air. So thank you so much for this interview, Zpikee. Best of luck throughout the rest of the split, and I'll see you soon.
Tack man.
He did it, he did it.
Wave!
Right at the end, Zpikee did it. He waved at us.
We got him!
We got the synergy as well, all three of us at the same time. Hey,
clean.
We got communication. We got communication going on. Let's look into the standings to see how this game affected the standings. The last team is still in last place, but JDXL extend the lead by 2 games.
Ubok would be very happy about this.
You would?
Not because Singularity is 0-7 or XL is 7-0, but because he keeps the symmetry going. We're so adamant about how if one team is 7-0, another one needs to be 0-7. The only thing that's breaking this apart is that Bifrost are 5-2, but M&M are not 2 and 5. Yeah, this is like messing up a little bit with Gulbok's idea of
God damn it.
But yet again, I think another clean game from JDXL works really well for them. They needed to show how clean they are, even though they are 6-0. It didn't seem that they were that clean. Now they've showed 7-0 back to back. And for Singularity, I think that kill on the JDXL bot lane might give them that little spark that they need to just push forward.
Maybe when we talk about a team that is playing with that friendship and all the synergy that they have between themselves, not inside of the game, but between themselves,